What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of CAD Jungle. In today's exercise, we're going to be modeling this Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, let's dive right in. First things first, let's go ahead and create a new component. We're going to label this handle. Okay. We're going to start a sketch. We're going to put it on the front plane. I'm going to create a 2-point rectangle starting in the center point and drag it out. Okay. We're going to dimension it. At the very top, I'm going to make it 56 millimeters. Okay. We're going to make the side 8 millimeters. And now it's fully defined. What we're going to do next is we're going to take the top and the left side and make them construction geometry. Okay. Next, first we're going to turn off the construction. Select the line tool and start making the shape of our handle. Okay. All right, now we're going to start giving it some dimensions. I'm going to make this, actually before we give it dimensions, let's go ahead and make these two lines collinear. Okay. Next we're going to give it some dimensions. We're going to make this line right here 5 millimeters. This top peak, I'm going to make 2 millimeters. This line right here, I'm going to make it 1 millimeter. Okay. This line here, I'm going to make 2 millimeters. The angle between these two lines, going to make 120 millimeters. The angle between these two lines here, going to make about 135 millimeters. And the angle between this line and the construction line, we're going to make about 20 millimeters. Okay. It's enclosed and it's black, which means it's fully defined. Next, we're going to give it a fillet. And if you want to make sure that you're selecting the right line, just press and hold until you select the full line, not the dotted line. Click on it. We're going to give this a fillet of 4 millimeters. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and finish the sketch. I'm going to select the revolve tool. The profile is already selected. Now the axis, I'm just going to select the bottom and it'll rotate. There's nothing else you need to do. Click OK. Okay, next, I want to create a sketch on the front plane. But before we do that, actually, we'll go ahead and do it anyway. We'll create a sketch on the front plane. We're going to hit the P for project and I want to project the outline of the handle. Click OK. I'm going to create a circle, center circle, on the line. I'm going to make it about 0.5 millimeters. Okay, we're going to set the dimension from this point to the center of the circle about 0.7. And we're going to finish the sketch. Okay. Next, we're going to use the revolve tool. Select the profile, only the top part of the circle. I'm going to select the axis. You can just select the body, and it'll rotate around. And make sure join is selected. Click OK. Okay. Next, we're going to create a rectangular pattern. Okay. We want it, the objects, we're going to select the objects, which is going to be this ring we just selected. Created, sorry. Direction wise, we're going to go ahead and hit the x-axis. We want the quantity to be 4, and we want the distance to be about 1.2 millimeters. Click OK. And there you have it. Okay. Now, we're going to create the hole and also the actual grooves on the outside. And to do that, I'm going to create a sketch on this front face. Okay. I'm going to create a center circle. I'm going to dimension it about 12 millimeters. And we want the distance from the center of this circle to the center point to be about 12.5 millimeters. Okay. We want to constrain this center point to this center point, and now it's fully constrained. We're also going to create another center circle in the very center. I'm going to make it 3 millimeters. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch. I'm going to hit E for extrude. I'm going to select this object, this profile. I want it to be -30. And because it's on the inside, it's automatically going to be set to cut. Okay. Click OK. Next, we're going to bring back that previous sketch. Make sure it's visible. We're going to hit the extrude key. Click on that center circle profile. Just slightly drag the circle back. And as far as distance goes, we're going to make it set to all. Okay. And make sure it's set to cut. Click OK. And now we can remove the visibility of that profile. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and create a circular pattern. We're going to type, the type we're going to select is going to be a feature. The last feature we just created with the extrude. The axis, select the body. This makes it a lot easier. And the quantity, we're going to make it 6. Make sure Optimize is selected. Or you can select identical. Click OK. All right, before we move forward, let's go ahead and give it some color. For this appearance, I used the steel satin material, and I basically set it up. So I'm going to go ahead and drag these up, and then I'll just double click and show you what I got. Actually, I take that back. I didn't use the steel satin. I removed that. I used the rubber hard black and rubber hard yellow. And this is what I used for the color scheme. Go ahead and click advanced. You can either type these numbers in, or if it makes it easier, click on the color RGB. And this is what I chose right here. Okay. And in black, obviously black is black. Okay. So we'll just take the first appearance and drag it. It's yellow. Okay, there we go. There's been something else going on. That's why it wasn't working. Okay. And last but not least, okay. And there you have it. Okay. What we're going to do now is create a sketch on the front plane. We're going to add some text. First things first, we're going to create a construction line about right here. We're going to go ahead and turn off this body so we can see what we're doing. But first, let's dimension it. From here to here, we're going to make that about 1.5 millimeters. And then we'll turn the body off so we can see the letters. Start with the text. Okay. Make the height 2 millimeters. You can choose whatever font you want, something that, that appeals to your taste. I chose this one. And I want this to basically be centered on this line. So I'm going to go ahead and use the midpoint selector. Select this line. And then select that, and it centers it. Okay, go ahead and finish sketch. Turn back on the body. What we want to do now is emboss, so to actually be embossed on the handle. Select emboss. Sketch profile. You see it changes colors from light blue to dark blue. And the faces, we want it to be on this face. And as you can see, it starts to stand out. For 0.05 millimeters is pretty sufficient for me. I'll click OK and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and create a new component. I'm going to call this head. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the handle, visibility purposes. I'm going to create a sketch on the front plane. We're going to go ahead and start making our guide. So we're going to start out with a 2-point rectangle. Okay. And so for the top, we're going to go, actually let's go ahead and dimension it first. .100 millimeters. We'll make this about a 1.5. fully dimensioned. Okay. Now, what we want to do here is basically take the top line, make it construction geometry. We want to take this side and also make it construction geometry. All right. What we want to do is give it a shape. Okay, fully defined. Actually, it's not because it's still blue, so let's go ahead and remedy that. Make this line about 2.4 millimeters. Press and hold so we can select that one line. And it's going to be 0.25 millimeters. And now the sketch is fully defined. Okay. To keep from having to overlap sketches, what we're going to do is grab another 2-point rectangle. I'm going to start at the bottom, bring it up about right there. We're going to make the width about 15 millimeters. The distance from this side to this side is going to be about 10 millimeters. Okay. And the distance from here to here, I'm going to make it about 0.5 millimeters. Now it's fully defined. However, one final feature we need to add, a fillet. About 0.35. Ignore the warning because it's now still fully constrained. Okay. Go ahead and finish the sketch. What we need to do now is use the revolve tool. Select the profile. So I'm going to left click, hold, and drag up. You see the yellow line and it selects everything. For the axis, I'm going to select the bottom. Click OK. All right. Let's go ahead and chamfer the this edge about 1 millimeters. Okay. Now we're going to create a sketch on the front plane. Okay. I'm going to start out with a 2-point rectangle. I'm going to make sure it snaps to this edge, but don't go below. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and start out with a center construction line. So select the line tool, construction, start at the center point, and drag it all the way to the edge. Okay. Now, I'm going to select a 2-point rectangle. Actually, we forgot to turn off the construction, so let's start that again. 2-point rectangle, snap to the edge, bring it up and around. There you go. Top dimension is going to be similar to this, so it's going to be 15 millimeters. Just hit enter. And if it isn't, just go ahead and type in 15. You should be good to go. Okay. The height is going to be about 5.83 millimeters. And the distance from this line to the construction line, I'm going to make that about 0.75 millimeters. Okay, now it's fully defined. We can go ahead, finish the sketch. And what we're going to do now is extrude this line to make our indentations. Okay. Select the extrude tool. Okay. And so what we're going to do now is going to give it an offset of about 0.75. And the distance, we're going to make it 1.25. And make sure it's set to cut. Select OK. Okay. Next, we're going to use the circular pattern tool. The features we're going to select is the last extrusion we made. The axis is going to be the round body. And instead of identical, we're going to select optimized. Click OK. And it was actually going to be 4. We actually used 4. Just to go back and show you what I did. The quantity was actually 4, not 6. Okay. Now the next part is going to become very, very involved. So first things first, we're going to construct an offset plane from the very tip of this edge right here. And we're going to make that about a -5 millimeters. Plane is actually kind of big, so you can shrink it down a little bit. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to turn that off for now, the construction, because we're not going to be using it. Okay, next we're going to create a sketch on this face. We're going to start out using the construction line, starting in the center. We're going to drag it up. Okay, so it's just tall enough outside of the way, so because we're going to be definitely using this for some symmetry. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and start out. First, let's turn off the construction. Use a 2-point rectangle. I'm going to start the first edge to snap to this round edge right here. Okay, and it snapped to the bottom. We're going to solve that in a second to make sure it's actually constrained. So I'm going to take this point and make sure that it overlaps the top circle. Okay, actually, we want it to be coincident to that circle. Okay, there we go. I'm going to take this edge. We're going to make it 0.2 millimeters. Actually, what we want to do for later purposes is we definitely need to turn this into construction geometry. If not, it'll bite us in the butt later. There we go. Okay. We want this line to basically be lined up with this point. Oops. It's not fully constrained though. So what am I missing here? All right. Okay, there we go. It's now coincident with this line, and now it's fully constrained. Okay. Construction is turned off. Now we can go ahead and create our arch. 3-point arc. Starting with this point here. Second point here. bring it down. Okay. Now, to fully constrain this, what we're going to do is select this point, dimension it, and we're going to give it also a 0.2. And now it's fully constrained. Next thing we're going to do now is select the line tool, drag it out, and we're going to be creating a triangle. Okay. We want to go ahead and make the top line tangent with this line right here, the circle. I'm going to go ahead and give it some symmetry. Take the left side, the right side, and then select the center. Now we have it. Now we want to basically dimension this to make it 80 millimeters. And now it's fully constrained. Okay. Last but not least, because we basically made this line tangent, it created this projection geometry. So what we want to do is turn this into a construction line. Because if not, later on, like I said, it's going to bite us in the butt. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and finish the sketch. Next, we want to bring back up the previous construction geometry we came up with. And we're going to be creating a sketch on it. Okay. Okay. We're going to be duplicating what we did here, slightly different. Okay, I'm going to start out with a 3-point arc. We're going to make these two lines horizontal to each other, constrain them. Okay, we're going to make this arch tangent with this line here. Okay, all right. Next, we're going to go ahead and create a line, make another triangle. Okay, going to give it some symmetry. All right. Going to dimension it. Actually, let's just go ahead and make those lines tangent. Bad idea. Let's just go ahead and dimension it first then. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make this line. That point. There we go. All right. Now, so we can make these lines tangent with each other and see if it works this time. There we go. All right. Now what we're going to do to make it fully defined is select this point here, and dimension it and make it about 1 millimeter. Okay. And now it is fully defined. Last but not least, let's go ahead and make this line also a construction line, because it was created as projected geometry. I'm going to finish the sketch. I'm going to use the extrude tool, hit the E key. I'm going to select this profile. I misspoke. We're not going to use the extrude tool. We're going to use the loft tool. My apologies. The loft tool make sure you select the very bottom as well. It's going to be red because it's going to cut through. Okay. Click OK. And it's starting to take shape. Last but not least, what we need to do is create a circular pattern. Select the features. We need to go ahead and select the features, which was the last loft command we used. Axis. I'm going to select the body. And it's going to be 4 of them. And it's going to be optimized. Click OK. All right. Let's give this an appearance. This time we're going to use the steel satin appearance. And this is what I used. Okay. Go ahead and drag it onto this body. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and bring in the handle as well. All right. Now let's bring these two together. First things first. We're going to go ahead and assemble joint. I'm going to select the very back of the actual head. I'm going to look for the inside, if I can find it. I may have to go ahead and change the visual style to wireframe. Actually, let me go ahead and hide the head right now and switch it back. Okay. All right. And turn on the head. Click OK. And we can turn off the joints. And there you have your screwdriver. Phillips head screwdriver. Well, that about wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.